Ireland.
Oh, cool.
Yeah. So it's like it's basically it's the same as Brazil, but it's the complete opposite.
Yeah.
It's got like shit weather.
Yeah,
Um,
I bet.
yeah.
Is it cold?
Um, yeah. Like, well, our is Brazil Celsius or Fahrenheit?
Celsius.
Oh yeah, we our like oh shit it's hot is like 25. Yeah. So let that
Yeah,
sink in.
it's
I
25 here right now. It's so nice.
okay. Yeah, it's not 25 here. Are you're in Rio now, are you?
Am I
Are you in Rio now?
real? Yes, I'll be real.
Okay. Do you not call it Rio? What do you call it?
No, you got a little bit of accent, and
Okay, right, okay.
I'm Brazilian, so
Yeah.
I don't.
I'll speak slower. I'll speak slower. Um when did you just arrive to Brazil like at the weekend or when did you get down?
Yeah, I got in
Okay.
Saturday night. So I've been here for a few days now.
And how long has it been since you were last there?
Last year, I
For
came
Copa last year.
a couple last year. Yeah, couple sur.
Okay. And have you got family there?
Not in Rio, but my whole family has come to watch. So
Okay, that's exciting.
yeah, I'm excited.
Um, so I was watching your day in the life on Mayhem from I think it was from like this time around this time last year.
Mm.
Um, and you kind of I don't know who did that. Who recorded that? Was that Ben or who was that?
Yeah, Ben from Jamaica.
Um,
Yeah,
so he asked, pretty fit dude as well. But he asked, "Where have you lived apart from Cookville?" And then you listed off, and then you listed off like 4 or 5 countries, and I thought like, "Oh fuck, hang on." So I googled like your name, and then even just on the CrossFit, like on the .com listing, so you've competed in like Australia, Asia, California, Asia. Like you're on all these different
yeah.
uh, leaderboards or whatever. Is it New Zealand? Is that where you moved to first?
First was New Zealand. Yeah, I stayed there for a year and a half, and then I moved to Hong Kong, where I was there for like 8 years on and off. So
Okay.
I'm 2017. I moved to Hawaii. I stayed 6 months. That's why California. I did the
Okay.
South SoCal that year. Um, yeah,
So what age were you when you moved to New Zealand?
I was 20.
And why? Like why move and why New Zealand?
I always wanted to travel,
Okay.
and English was something that I wanted to learn the language. And New Zealand was a country that they had this deal with Brazilians. They gave like 200 spots every year for a working holiday visa,
Oh, okay.
and I got one of those, and I was like, yeah, I'm out. So
What's the is there a reasoning behind the relation that deal between Brazil and New Zealand? Like, is there a history there or why?
it is, but it's been for a long time now.
Yeah.
Every year there's like 200 spots for Brazilians to go and travel and work for a full year. So it was a fun.
Yeah. Is that were you into surfing before you went to New Zealand, or is that where you picked it up?
Yeah, so that's another reason that I always wanted to like leave Brazil and go other places to see like surf other beaches, and yeah, that was one of my hobbies at the time.
Have you got many siblings, many brothers and sisters?
Yeah, I got two older brothers.
Okay. And are they like protective? Were they like worried about you leaving and stuff?
Not that much. They were
Didn't care. They were like, bye.
excited for me. They were doing their own things, and
Yeah.
um, but yeah, I was the younger, like leaving home, but I learned how to look out for myself.
Yeah.
With two brothers, you have to be smart, and
Tough.
yeah.
Yeah. Um why Hong Kong next then? Why did you go to Hong Kong?
I tried to stay in New Zealand. My coach tried to apply for my visa to stay um, working in New Zealand, but I think the deal with them was just a year.
Mm.
Like you do a year of working holiday, and then you have to go. So I had another friend that did the same and went to Hong Kong. So he told me, he's like, hey, Hong Kong, there's plenty of work here. If you want to come, I'll hook you up with a job. And I was not ready to go back to Brazil. I still felt like I needed, more time, exploring. So I just went to Hong Kong, and it turned out to be a great idea.
Yeah, I mean, I felt like I needed more time. That was about like what, 10 years ago. So it's obviously you obviously needed a long time. Um,
Never come back.
were you doing CrossFit? Did you start doing CrossFit in New Zealand, or were you doing CrossFit and then went to New Zealand?
So I was doing functional training in
Okay.
Brazil. We were in the garage gym. It was like actually an MMA garage gym that the functional training coach, he put a rig, and we were just doing some kettlebells and pull-ups and a lot of running at the time. Um, Mostly body weight. We didn't have much equipment.
Yeah.
Um, so I left Brazil already knowing, how to do a keeping pull up and toes to bar and that kind of stuff and all the body weight stuff. So I got to New Zealand and I went to a regular gym, right? And then I hated it. I was like, oh no, what do I do now? I don't have my crew. And I texted my coach in Brazil, and he's like, look for CrossFit. And I did it, and it was just like
So
perfect.
did you, when you were doing that in Brazil, did you not know that you were doing CrossFit or not know what CrossFit was?
No idea.
That's
In
funny.
Brazil, at the time, you would never hear about CrossFit
But
ever.
was functional training, was that common? Was that like popular?
Not as much. We had this one guy that he was a pioneer in my city. After a couple years, he opened up a CrossFit. He was the first one in my city, so it just started growing from there. But at the time, nobody really heard. But he was studying CrossFit at the time. He
Okay.
had a whole methodology, and I didn't know. But when I asked him in New Zealand, he's like, "So all I've been giving you guys is from this CrossFit methodology, but we don't have the
Yeah.
equipment, uh, barbell or anything like that. So we were just doing pretty much the basics."
And could you speak English before you moved?
I I was always interested in English, so I learned a little bit. I'd always watch shows, and so I knew, I could look after myself. It
Yeah.
was like completely blank. So, but it was hard. New Zealand, they have a really thick accent as well.
Yeah.
Um,
They're weird with their vowels, like with A-E-I-O-U. It's like like I don't know. There's like a difference. Australia, South Africa, and New Zealand is all very vowel dominant. But it's in New Zealand, it's like the vowels don't exist. It's like they just say them as quickly as possible.
so you imagine I was like, sorry, can you repeat, please, like all the time, like, and then they started speaking. My coach was South African, living in New Zealand. It was like I was like, what are you saying? But I learned quick.
That's funny. Because then I noticed, because when you say Hong Kong, you say it with kind of a Hong Kongian accent, like you like pronounce it properly. So yeah, it's like you've got this. Yeah, you've got a very global accent.
I guess.
It's funny.
Yeah.
Okay, so you moved to Hong Kong. Obviously, really liked it. You were there for 8 years on and off. You said. Why Hawaii? What was that, surfing based, or why did you move there?
Exactly. So Hawaii is every surfer's dream.
Yeah,
So since
I'm assuming there's not much of a surfing culture in Hong Kong. Is that fair?
no, but it's super easy to travel in Hong Kong.
Yeah.
You can go to Bali really easily, Philippines, Thailand. There's like plenty of surfing spots around Hong Kong. So that was easy. And Hawaii was just always a dream for me. And I just made a trip. It was supposed to be a 2 week holiday. And
Yeah.
then I canceled my ticket back and just stayed for 6 months. Started coaching CrossFit there and surfing every day. So it was pretty cool. It was a
And
fun
then you went back to Hong Kong.
And then I went back to Hong Kong. Yeah.
Okay. Throughout this time, you're doing CrossFit and coaching CrossFit. Did you have aspirations of like, oh, I want to, I know you were at like, you went to Pacific Regionals like
Yeah.
3 times? Were you like, oh, games is that's the aim, or was this kind of just you were doing it and were doing well in it, but not like this is all it, this is all I'm doing?
No, so I was mainly a coach. So I was just good enough to make it to the Pacific regionals, and I
Hmm.
was happy about it. I was happy to go and compete and see Tia Toomey from close, and Kara, all these amazing athletes over there. I went more for fun because I love competing. I've been competing my whole life, like since a kid. I was into competitions, but it was never my main goal. I knew how much it would take
Yeah.
out of a person to be at that level. And I guess at the time I wasn't really ready for it. I was like doing my thing, coaching and traveling a lot. So, um, but
What
then
what 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 changed? What? Because obviously now you have gone like all in. So I'm curious, was there a moment or did something happen?
it was pretty much was during COVID. COVID happened and the gyms in Hong Kong, they closed for a long periods. They would close for 3 months, open for a little bit. It was really a rough time. But as a head coach at the gym, I would be at the gym every day. So I was pretty much a professional athlete, training every day and night, and getting paid for it. And all the restaurants, everything was closed. The social life wasn't happening, and I decided to start a diet and cook at home. So I was living like pretty much an athlete life without even like realizing much. I was just training twice a day, eating well, and I was like, oh wow, I'm really strong now. And they changed the rules with how the whole semifinal was gonna
Mm.
happen. So it was South America, and I was excited. I was like, oh, I want to see how far I can go now. Like in against South Americans, and I've never competed in Brazil, so I
Mm.
had no clue where I was stacked in Brazil. So that was the year 2021 that I like. Okay, I'm gonna take this seriously.
You've so that was the first year of Copa as well.
Yeah,
And you finished third that year, is that right?
yeah. It went online, unfortunately,
Yeah.
because of COVID. Um, and I finished on third that year. Yeah.
Were you anyway put off like when it moved online, and then I guess if you're seeing where you stack up and you don't get to do a live competition, it's probably a bit disappointing. And then when you don't win, it's probably a bit disappointing as well. Like, were you anyway like, oh, maybe I'm not as bothered as I thought I was, or was it like, did it just fuel the fire?
No, so I was really upset. It went online. I even told my friends, I was like, I'm not gonna do this. This is like, who does that? Like, and but the whole gym was like, no, you gotta do it. Let's do it. We're gonna bring everyone to the gym, and we're all gonna cheer for you. It's gonna feel like you're in the competition.
Where were you doing it? Where did you do it and watch it? In Hong Kong.
Hong Kong.
Okay.
And I was like, okay. So it was actually super fun. I won 3 events out of the six.
Yeah.
Super stoked, but I bumped out in one of them. I guess there wasn't many competitive girls on the events that I won. There wasn't many people like
Oh yeah.
to stack up with me. So, anyways, it didn't happen, and I was like, by this much, I was like, oh shit, this is cool, right? So I was like, well, I guess if I really want this, I can make it, right? And then a month later, the number one Lari Cunha, she popped with uh, the
Oh, that
whole,
like tainted supplement thing or whatever. Yeah.
and like shit, like I could actually really, be the one, and then that just fired me up even more.
Yeah.
It just made me hungrier for it.
Do you know her?
I don't really know her in person. Just
So like leaving out so her side of the story is obviously that like, no, I didn't, and it's a mistake or a tainted supplement or whatever. But when you compete and you had I guess you kind of made peace with where you finished and you had accepted where you finished and saw the work you had left to do. And then when something changes in front of you, are you annoyed by it or are you like encouraged by it?
I was a bit of both. I was a bit frustrated and everything, but it. I also still know that I had to work on one of the events. The event that I bummed out. I was like, I still need to work on. I still have
Yeah.
a lot of work to do. If I didn't have that like weakness, I would have made it. So I knew I had still to work harder, and of course, you get frustrated because
Hmm.
I was supposed to be there at the games that year, but it's not like I was angry at her or anything like that at all.
Hmm.
She messaged me. She said like, "Hey, sorry, this is a misunderstanding." And I was like, "Hey, don't worry about me. I'm not like I'm not
What
gonna say anything.
she
There's nothing."
messaged she messaged you like on just off her own accord.
Yeah, because I don't know, somebody said that I talk shit about her, and I'm like, so
Okay.
she messaged me. I'm like, girl, stop listening to people who are saying like I'm not. I haven't mentioned your name at all. Like I don't care
Yeah.
what you do, what you've done. Life goes on.
Yeah.
You do you. I'm gonna do me. I have to work on my own shit. You work on your own shit, and that's it. Like.
Um. So
But
how long did you stay in Hong Kong for after that?
so then that's when I decided to leave. Hong Kong was still pretty bad with the whole COVID situation. We were closed.
Yeah.
The gym was closed and all that. And I would look online, everybody like all the competitions in US happening, and I'm like, I'm missing out. I'm done staying here. So I connected with the guys at Mayhem, and they said, yeah, you can come and train here whenever you want. So I just
Were you
made the move.
were you following their programming at the time?
Yeah, I
Okay.
started following the program during COVID actually. So
Okay.
2020.
Do
Yeah.
they like when you reach out and you say, "Hey, I'm thinking of coming over," um are they aware of like how good you are and what you've done, or do you think were they like looking at the leaderboard and go, "Oh yeah, shit, okay, she can come, she's allowed."
I'm not sure. I guess a bit of both. I'm not sure where they were at, but they were super nice. They were like, "Yes, you're welcome to come train with us," and yeah, they were
Did
super nice.
you so when you were following their programming, was it like the generic, like whatever,
Yeah.
just the standard programming, or was it like personalized in any way?
No, just the
Okay.
generic program that they put up.
They
Yeah,
definitely checked. They definitely like
where you're
look. They
at.
were like, just search her in the app. Like, just see what she
Yeah.
does. Just go on Sugarwater and see what she does or whatever. Yeah,
Okay.
yeah, definitely, definitely. Okay, so you moved, and I in that same in Ben's day in the life thing. You said that you had like no car, no house, no. You just moved. You just basically like booked flights and knew that you were allowed to train at the gym. How did like what did you do? Like what did you do when you got there? Like you landed in Cookville, and then what?
I made friends. That's what you do when you move around. You just like make friends, make connections. I had to find out place to stay, car, and the whole deal. It was really hard. It was winter. It was really cold. It was November, um, but everything worked out in the end.
So when you're there, like I'm curious of the dynamic. So like I'm assuming that when somebody walks into Mayhem and starts training, that they're part of like the large population, say, that trains there. And then is there a point in time where it shifts and you're more like on the inside? Do you know what I mean? Like that you're more of the core group of, or do you do that yourself? Do you like, as you say, make friends with people and say, okay, let's us three train together at these times or whatever?
Yeah. Well, I had to, you know, yeah, make friends and get involved with the group. At the beginning, nobody knew me, so it is a bit weird, but it was a bit like doing my own thing. But I soon got into a group, and we just trained at the same time every day, and I started meeting everyone, and yeah, you just get started getting involved. And then the open comes, and then they see, oh yeah, you're good, and then you just start getting more and more involved. That's for sure.
And have you a specific coach there?
Uh, Not really. Like right now, I'm doing Facundo's program.
Okay.
I'm training with Roman,
Okay.
so he does Facundo program. So I'm training with him, and we're doing his programming, so he keeps an eye on us.
Do you speak Russian?
No, I
What's the communication like there?
he's Roman's English is getting much better. So
Really? Okay. 'Cause I saw I don't know, was it Angelo or Rich or someone was on Savan's show and he was like he knows all the like CrossFit terms. So he knows like Imam Wad, Snatch, he knows all that. But just to have a normal conversation with him was like basically impossible.
yeah, it's getting better though. But honestly, is the best. He's super disciplined. So we get in the gym, is like warm up, go do the workout, do our accessories, do everything. Not much talking. We're just straight to the point, which I'm loving it. Training with him, it's really cool.
How did you two get paired together? Did someone else say, "Oh, you two would work well together," or did it just naturally happen?
No, it just naturally happened. He was always training with a couple other guys and doing their own thing. And I'll get to the gym and he's already with like 300 pounds over his head. And I'm like, oh my God, it's only like 9 a.m. You're already like on it. And I'm not even warming up. So I was like, one day he was stretching. And then I was just like, I just came over. I was like, oh, can I stretch with you? He's like, yeah. And then we start talking. And I asked him, can I come train with you on that? And he's like, yeah, of course. 8 a.m. Don't be late. I was like, okay.
Yeah, he doesn't strike me as somebody that would either be late or accept someone else being late.
Yeah. So, and I'm like Brazilian, so I'm always in Brazilian time. I don't disturb, but I'm not too bad. I'm only like 3 minutes late. Like,
Yeah.
and he's like, Vika, you're late. And I'm like, just 3 minutes. He's like,
Yeah.
30.
This is an hour early in Brazil.
Yeah, exactly. I'm like, I'm super earlier for Brazilian.
Yeah. Whereas in Russia, you're 3 days late. Yeah.
Pretty much.
Um. How long is a training session with him then? How long do you guys we'll say work?
It's 3 hours straight in the morning. It's like back to back, 3 hours. And then we come back and do another 2.5 hours in the afternoon at least.
Okay.
It's pretty long.
I saw again in that the day in the life thing. You said that you at the time anyway you were working with Jim on the Mayhem mindset, and you said that it was having a big impact on like your just I guess your mindset on being competitive and stuff, and like I suppose how you treat yourself or how you talk to yourself or whatever. Like is that something that you felt that you were particularly weak in, or is it something that you just had never thought about before you started doing it?
I just never really thought about before I started doing. And 2021, that season, the semifinal period, I was going through a lot of stuff personally, professionally, where I was at in Hong Kong. There was so much happening. And I feel like that, all that stuff together and the semifinal, I think everything just like cramped up on me. And I feel like I could honestly have done a better job if I had, a better mindset and, a set of values, already
Mm.
in my head, where I was just like, I was just living, I was just, doing things. And then with Mayhem mindset, it kind of like, you start putting names into feelings and, giving meaning to them and knowing what I want and what is valuable to me. And that was really key to have a good straightforward mindset for me
Mm.
in Hong Kong.
Training at Mayhem then. So if like your prior exposure had been a group setting in a gym in New Zealand and then a group setting in a gym in Hong Kong and then following your own programming, which you know given the level you were at was probably a bit lonely, like as in you were probably at a different level to the people that you're training with most of the time anyway. When you get to Mayhem then, were you anyway like did you ever feel over your head at any point? Were you ever like, oh God, this is way harder than I thought it was going to be, or this is way more training than I thought it was going to be?
Yeah, both 100%. Like I was like, oh my God, everyone here is fit. Everyone, like, you have so many different people in there, and everyone is good at different things. So you're always getting beat up by someone, you know, in a workout. You're never like always winning. It's just it's pretty cool. It's a really good push that I didn't have in New Zealand or in Hong Kong even. Um, and also like this space in at Mayhem, the space we have, and we have all the equipments and everything. The facility is amazing. Where in Hong Kong, it was a really small gym. I would even have to like jump around, go to other gyms all the time for different equipments. Um, so it's hard to get a group of people that are gonna go with you and do all these things. So you have to
Hmm.
just go yourself on your own time, do your thing. So you don't have much to compare, much of a comparison with other people.
Hmm.
So at Mayhem, it's like you have people everywhere doing the same program, which is pretty awesome. Um,
Is that always a positive though? Is it ever like, are you ever, do you ever get downbeat, or like, if you see, if everyone's doing the same thing and you see that like a different girl is maybe performing better than you are or achieving more than you, does it ever get off-putting?
it does sometimes. It does, like, you can't help right with those things, but doing that mindset thing as well, it helped me a lot with that. So I understand that I'm on my own game and I have to go on my own lane and not be bothered by what other people are doing better or not than me.
Hmm.
It does get you sometimes. We're humans,
Yeah.
you just try to learn from it and try to get better.
What about like, so if you look at the list of people, so obviously you train with Roman, so I guess that's good because it's a you're not in competition with him. You're at no point are you going to come up against him in a competition. So like you can help him as much as you want, he can help you as much as you want, like tips, advice, everything else. But like there's obviously then there is a lot of girls that are there who you will like hopefully come up against in competition as the season progresses. Maybe not in Brazil, but in Madison, like Bailey and people like that. Is there ever like tension there? Is there ever like, say, in the lead up to the games last year, was there ever any kind of like, okay, you guys need to train separately now and not be around each other and stuff?
Not at all. Not at all. We all trained last year. We trained together. It was fun. This year, I'm not training with them, but sometimes when Roman is not there, I will go and train with the girls, and we're always, no matter what, giving tips to each other and
Hmm.
always encouraging each other. There's never been like a tension or
Yeah.
anything. It's super cool actually.
Have you noticed a difference? So if you've been training, when did you start training with Romans? Yeah, like in January or like in the off season?
Yeah, right during the Open, I think right after the Open, I started before quarters.
And have you noticed a difference, apart from like the fact that it's a year later, as in, have you noticed the difference between that period of time to now compared to the same period of time last year? Like, do you notice changes in yourself from training with him?
Yeah, I mean, with him, we do it's a different he does a lot of strength first, so we're back to back doing a bunch of strength, a bunch of accessories, and then a workout, and then maybe another bodybuilding piece, right? Whereas when I trained with Rich before, it was always like a workout first, which is like long intervals, high volume, like for hold, and then some strength. It's just completely different approach. um I enjoy both, honestly, but I'm enjoying now learning from Roma, and seeing what he's doing and just following through and just see how I feel doing that kind of training.
Hmm.
I'm feeling super strong right now, so I'm happy so far.
There's obviously some changes there this year then with the team and stuff, and the roster change, and well, Freedom is gone. You've got Independence now. When that those changes are happening, do people like stake their claim early and say like, I am absolutely not doing team, or is there like conversations, like, were you ever approached about being on a team, or is it just kind of known that you had no interest? Or
Yeah, I've been approached before, actually, this year as well, to be on a team, but I'm an individual athlete, and I know, I just want to do my own thing, and
hmm,
I feel like being on a team, you have to, be everyone together at the same time and just like do their own, and I'm not used to that.
yeah.
Yes, it's just like I'll do my own thing, and for now.
Yeah, you're dipping your toe by coming in at the same time as Roman. That's enough. That's enough for now. But trying to be on time for him is enough. Yeah. You were on a team at Wadapalooza though, right? You were on
Oh yeah, that was like last minute.
last minute.
That was super fun though. Like it was it was a last minute. It was just no pressure. When
Was
Sarah
that was with Sarah and
Caitlin,
Caitlin? Yeah.
yeah,
Okay.
and
That was a very relaxed team, I'd say, was it?
yeah, exactly. So when they called me, like I couldn't say no to both of them. They're super sweet,
Yeah.
and I told them, hey, I'm like shattered. I'm like so broken from doing the individual. They're like, yeah, we're both in the same. We're all in the same boat. We just don't want to pull out. Please, like, be on our tail. I was like, okay, let's do it, and it was super fun actually, but no pressure. It was
Yeah.
just fun to hang out with them.
That's cool. Um, do you feel another line again? That's in that same documentary. It's almost like I watched it today. But you had there was another line you said in it where um, you kind of said that you've had people say to you in Brazil, "Oh, but it's easy for you because you're not in Brazil and you're in Cookville, so it's like it's a piece of piss. It's easy." Do you feel like you have a bit of a target on your back, like when you go back? Like I'm thinking of, say, last weekend in Africa, like Michelle went from America over to Africa to compete. And like I've heard stories of her being treated differently by judges and by, like other athletes and stuff, that she has a bit of a target on her back because, she's coming from afar to compete and trying to take the spot and that kind of stuff. Do you ever feel like that when you go back to Brazil?
No, so last year was my first year coming to compete in Brazil. It was my first competition in person in Brazil. Um, and I guess nobody knew me at that time. Nobody like know who I was. I don't think anybody was really bothered by me. And then I don't know now they saw what I did last year, I guess. But like judges and everything, everybody was super nice to me. Like the crowd in Brazil is just the energy here. It's so nice.
Mm,
I love it. I loved it last year. I was like, so now it was done. I'm like, oh my god, I can't wait for next year. This is like amazing. Like we have we don't have many like big competitions in Brazil, so I guess this will be like a CrossFit Games. So
mm,
everybody wants to come and watch it. Everybody cheers like loud. So
mm.
I only had like really good positive energies last year. Hopefully again this year.
Yeah, I remember seeing, I think it was in like 2019, was that Adam Davidson or someone was at an event in Brazil and he was like, it was fucking loud. Like he was like, it was like deafening from like the second it started until the podium's at the end. He was just like, it was relentlessly loud. Um, but yeah, even like if you ever see footage of, like soccer games in Brazil or whatever, it's like every sport just seems fanatics. Like it's loud and like yeah, it's intense. Especially then if you're at a CrossFit event and it's a closed arena or like there's a roof, it's like forget it. It's just gonna be 10 times worse or better.
Yes, I haven't done any in person in Brazil until last year, and I forgot. Like I haven't been living here, and I forgot how passionate we are with our sports. How much like we give it. It's cool. It's really cool.
Yeah. Um, the games last year then, so that was your first appearance there. Was it what you thought it was going to be? Was it like better, worse, different, the same?
No, it wasn't what I thought it was gonna be. It was way like harder, and that was like some crazy events with like crazy like gymnastic stuff that I was like, what are we doing? Like I've been training for something different. Like this is not what I've trained for.
Hmm.
Um, but it's cool. Everyone is on the same boat, so there isn't much to we kind of just complain. You just gotta do the work. Um, and I tried my best. I did my best, but I got so injured from like day one. It was really tough on my body, the whole thing. And at some point, I was just surviving. I was just like,
Hmm.
God, I just need to like try to finish this. Um, but I didn't make the cut for Sunday, so I went to watch everyone. And even though I was like broken and like, you know, everywhere was painful and hurt, um, I went to watch and I was like, dang, I want to be here again next year. I was like, right away, I'm like, what? How did I miss being on this last day? I was just like, still, yeah, I was still fired up for next year already. I was like,
Yeah, you were like limping around, fired up. Yeah, like
I was literally limping around. Like,
yeah. If you could have, you would have stood up and clenched your fists, but instead you just like cried quietly in your chair. So when you're at the, if you don't have, so say you follow Facundo's programming and you work with Roman now. So when you go to Brazil, who goes with you? Does anyone go with you, or do you go on your own?
well, Facundo's here. He's
Yeah.
gonna follow us through the semifinal here, and yeah, my girlfriend's here. My family's here, so I have my support crew.
And is it so? Is the Mayhem method then of coaching more like done in house, and then you just do it yourself, and then like they're there for support, but it's like you're capable of going and performing in Brazil, and you're trusted to do that, and the expectation from you and from them is that you won't need to be told or do this in this next workout, that you'll just figure it out yourself, kind of.
Yeah, so yeah, you have the support. They definitely support me if I have. Sometimes you have doubts, you know, like what should I, you know, how should I pace this? How fast should I go here or
Mm,
there? So they definitely give us the feedback, and but they do trust us that we know we do this every day, so we know what we should be, you know,
mm,
targeting. But it's always good to have that second affirmation, you know, hey, yes, go this fast, or you know, do this way.
yeah.
So,
Um, another thing you mentioned in the documentary, um, you were saying, so you were talking about the journaling, you were talking about the Mayhem mindset thing, and you said that you journal partially for that and partially to like track your periods and your time of the month and stuff. Um, is that do you feel like, is that a concern? Like, say if you look at the dates of a competition, are you ever like, oh shit, like that's bad timing?
yeah, 100%. So I knew 2 months ago that I would be on my period on the day of competition, day one, Friday, coming Friday. So there's not much you can do. You just need. So that's why I journal, right? I know my body. I know exactly when the day I'm at.
So like rather than waking up on Friday morning and being like, oh fuck, I'm caught. Yeah, yeah.
Exactly. So I track everything, so I know in advance. Um, and then there are things you can. I just there's things you can do to make it a little bit sooner. So I've
Yeah.
been working on it for 2 months already. And last month I got 1 day earlier, and this month I got 1 day earlier, so it was today.
Okay.
So it worked out perfectly. And but it's you just have to know your body, and then just be nice to yourself.
And is it like, is the worry for you that do you feel like there's a consistent dip in performance? Do you feel like, is it like cramps? Is it pain? Is like, what is it that you're worried about?
So I get super crampy. So like today I've been cramping all day. So I just slow down a little bit more. Um, I trained this morning. I went for a yoga, hang out at the beach for a little bit, came home, sleep a little bit more. You know, just now I'm just gonna be taking it easy the rest of the day. So
Mm,
usually in my training, if I know it's gonna happen, I'm not gonna go hard at the gym like hardcore. I'll still go to the gym. I'll still do some training, but I won't be mad if I don't hit my
mm,
number, or if I don't do this fast enough, or you know, I'll just be nicer to myself on those
mm,
days. So yeah, for me, the first day and the second day are usually like a little bit slower,
mm.
and the switch is that the third day and so on. I feel like so much energy, and
Okay.
I'm ready to go. So I'm actually excited for this.
Okay, yeah, you've timed it pretty well then.
Yeah.
Okay, I'm starting to think maybe I've been on my period for the last 34 years. The way that you're explaining it, I think maybe that explains why my training is so shit. Uh,
Oh, you never know.
you so you have you noticed so been a lot of talk, or I've heard like people talking about it. I've never been involved in any conversation, so this is the first. But I've heard people talking about how the cycle can change or be affected by intense training, or like by living that professional athlete life. Considering that you've say ratcheted things up a couple of gears since 2021, and you've increased your intensity, and you've changed your diet. You said you changed your diet in like 2021. You have moved. You've got you said there at least 5 hours a day in the gym.
Mhm.
Have you noticed a change? Like, have you noticed, like, is everything basically the same as it was in that sense, or have you noticed like that? Oh, things are actually changing internally, like hormonally.
No, I've actually always had a really consistent period. It's always been super consistent for me. And people does say like if you're low body fat, you're gonna like stop having a period and things like that. That just never happened to me. I've just
Yeah,
always had it, and I guess the more you learn about yourself and the easier it is, so you know
yeah,
how to treat yourself during. So that's why I do all this like work like on myself and just self knowledge, so then you don't freak out and when things happen. But
yeah,
for me, it has always been the same, and so I know exactly when it's gonna fall and how much I'm gonna suffer or not, and I just yeah, it's never changed.
yeah. It is interesting though, because it's kind of a topic that's like almost never, it's never really public. Definitely, I know Savan was basically cancelled for talking about it once, but like it's basically never really talked about. But then I also know, like, what little I do know about it, I know that like no two people are the same. So then, like, say you're saying this and it could be absolutely perfect, and then someone else could be like, well, as soon as I started training it changed everything, or it
We're
is.
all different, so you
Yeah,
can't really oh, this is what happens. No, we're all different. So I know that for me it has never changed. Even when I went on my lowest body fat, which was like 9%, and I was still getting, I just never, it never changed for me. So I guess I'm one of those that just always has their period.
hmm. How are you feeling about semifinals? Like, how are you feeling about, say, the workouts themselves? Like, having watched, so you don't really have an advantage over your field, I guess, but you have an advantage over last week's competitors, and that that the sled is essentially a piece of paper, and that like what the workouts are going to be, and how, like, I suppose last week there's probably people reading it being like, oh, I wonder is that legless up and down, whereas now you know that, and that it's all assault runner, and the kind of runnings of it. Does that give you more confidence, or does it give you more jitters because now there is no unknown, that all the pressure is on you basically?
No, I'm feeling good. I'm feeling really confident. I really like the workouts, like how every semifinal is going to be doing the same workout. I really like that CrossFit has programmed the whole thing. I think it's well rounded too, really well rounded. There was some movements that we were all like, how is this gonna happen, right? So yes, I'm glad I could watch some of them go first and see that everybody's gonna struggle. And there's no way out. You're just gonna have to see who grinds through it, and just keep it up the whole weekend for the whole weekend.
Um, the aim is first place and Madison, and so is anything outside of that failure then? Like, is it on that much of a knife edge for you, or is it not that simple? Because I suppose you can't really control what, like, some unknown athlete could just spring up out of nowhere that nobody's ever heard of.
Um, I'm I'm really confident that I'm I'm well rounded enough that I am gonna make it to the top of the podium this year
Hmm.
again. So I'm not really focusing on what other people are gonna do. I just know that I am gonna give my 100% for every single event,
Hmm.
and so then I can get the podium. So
So in 2021 or in 2021, you did it, but it was online. So people would have just seen a name, not knowing anything else. 2022, you said you went there, people didn't know who you were. That you didn't, it's not like you came with fanfare and there was no like red carpet rolled out. You just kind of arrived, then you won it, went to the games. Now you're going back this year. Everybody going to that event is going to know who you are. Like the fans will know who you are, the competitors will know who you are. They'll know that you've been to the games. They'll know that you're in Cookville, like training with Roman and that kind of stuff. Do you feel any extra kind of pressure with that? Knowing that there is going to be, if not from yourself, I know that you're saying that you feel confident and stuff, but there's going to be a weight of expectation from other people who are waiting to see, well, how good is she? Like they've seen you on live stream and stuff, and now they want to see you in person.
I think there's always that pressure from people have expectations, but I guess it's more my own pressure, within myself to do well in every event. I have my expectations for myself, how well I want to do them, each event. And I think it's good that people know that I've been training with Roman and that I've been Cookville and I won last year and I went to the games. I think it's good that they know that I am, going up, every, and that's it. Let them come for me. I'm ready.
Bruce is wondering, how do you feel about the ruck workout, the toes around the rings and stuff?
The complex?
Yeah.
I actually really like the complex itself. I hate that ruck. But it is what it is. We saw last week the girls were struggling with it. I guess it's gonna be hard for everyone. So it's just more how you manage, how you break it up and keep going.
Yeah, I guess top tip is at least do one rep just in case they decide you haven't done your minimum work. That's the main thing. What workout are you most looking forward to? Like, is there one on? Is there one or multiple ones on paper that you're like first place in that, please?
I'm looking forward to Linda actually.
Okay.
We had Linda at Pacific Regionals
2018.
2018, and I didn't complete it. So I am looking forward for this year to finish it.
That's cool. Emma McQuaid is the same in Europe. She's been saying it's Linda Redemption is this year because she did it in 2018 as well, and like she hated it.
Like the one rep of each to finish, I was like so close.
Yeah, no, that's not enjoyable. Okay, so the plan then, say you finish Copa Sur, you win. We hope and expect that you win, and then back up to Cookville until whatever July, and then Madison
until August. Yeah, until games in Madison.
That's cool. Okay, and you kick off. So Copa Sur is Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Isn't that right?
Yes, tomorrow registration, Friday, Saturday, Sunday competition.
Okay, that's exciting. That's really exciting. Well, listen, thank you for coming on. It's been great to get to talk to you. Thanks for taking the time out. Best of luck this weekend. No, my pleasure. Best of luck this weekend. And we'll be keeping an eye out. So I know Savannah's doing some live shows around West, but I know he'll be including Copa Sur and Oceania and stuff as well. So yeah, everybody be kept up to date. And hopefully pre Madison you'll come back on and we can have a bit of chat about what's going on in Madison. That'd be great.
I'm down.
Thank you very much.